Let's do it. Alrighty, here we go. My name is Marty Fox from WHITEFOX. Now, here's the deal. Welcome to another episode of With the Fox Live. We are actually live in front of an audience. So if you're listening on, you can't see the beautiful faces in front of me, but we've got an audience here at the Calile Hotel up in Brisbane. There's 90 odd people in the room of all walks of life: agents, advocates, stylists, business owners, developers, you name it. A few staff from WHITEFOX as well. So Marty, firstly, we're doing this live with the Fox podcast. I mean, we're sort of 15 or so episodes in. This podcast has been a bit of fun, hasn't it?
Well, it's just so random. Like, speaking to people, they're like, "So what's the podcast about?" So it's just conversations, and we don't really know what people take out of it. It appeals to just different people, different walks of life, but it's long form. And I think that that's something that we never used to do a lot of on social media. People said, "Oh, long form's dead." This is long form content that actually can help build connections with people that have a little bit more interest than the norm with yourself or your brand. And I think this is now a period, particularly within social media, where long form content is gold. It's really hard to do because you've got to figure out, well, what are you sharing? What aren't you sharing? But again, it comes back to if you've got that expertise within your field and you're talking about things that you're interested in, then there are learnings in it for others. So this is just our first sort of real foray into long form content, which is interesting, and it's been really fun to do.
Yeah, and we've had some really interesting guests as well. I mean, and it's interesting to see what hits with the audience. So we had Matt, for those who've listened, we had Matt Rockman on, who started Seek, which all came from a very random meeting with myself out the front of a house which he owned, the house that I now live in, and he was really great. We've had Josh Morrissey's in the front row here from Canberra as well, talking about his. David the Medium.
David the Medium is in the house as well. Where is David?
There he is.
I'm going to get you up here at some point.
Has to happen.
I'm going to put you on the spot, my friend.
Ron. And also we are joined, for the voices that you're going to hear, Lana Samuels, obviously our sales director at Bayside, one of our shining lights in the business, just been named in the top 100. It must be a proud moment for you as well.
Very proud, especially in such a short period of time. It's pretty crazy.
We think you're crazy good. And of course, I've introduced him to the stage, but not onto the podcast, a man who is synonymous with fantastic developments and building up here in Brisbane, Rob Gray from Graya. Great to have you with us in your hometown, in a hotel I know you're very proud of as well.
I was about to say thanks for having me, but that's the other way around.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So we've for those listening to the podcast, we've already had a few talks and lessons about WHITEFOX and Marty and Lana, but to get someone like yourself up, Rob, tell us a bit about, firstly, just give us a little background about Graya for those who don't know, so we can sort of touch on your sort of experience in the game.
And I don't even know how you got going. Like, what is the actual foundation of what you do?
I'll take you way back. So Graya was first started in 2012. The first sort of 4 to 5 years wasn't glamorous whatsoever. I started off as a carpenter. So the goal was always with Andrew and I that we had a dream from when we were in school that we wanted to flip houses. We really wanted to be a house developer. So Andrew went in a quantity surveying pathway, which was what our father's business was. I went in a carpentry direction because I knew you learn a lot about being a builder doing carpentry. But I knew it was just it was a very short career to where I wanted to get to. So essentially I finished my apprenticeship, started Graya like straight after that. Told my boss I was going to come back, so he kept my job for me. But I kept saying, oh no, I got one more job, I'll come back again. And after a while I said, no, I'm not going to come back. Started off doing bathrooms, deck renovations. I think our first house was when Andrew and I pulled our money together and we really teamed up and we did a large scale renovation. So that's essentially where the Graya was really born. I was trading before that, and things snowballed from there. Now today, we are in a bit of a changing period where we are moving more into multi-residential opposed to just single dwelling houses. Our business is 63 staff, so we have a mix of architects, we've got marketing, construction and development. So bit of a mixed bag, and yeah.
And I know speaking to you over the journey as well, like you see some synergies, say, with WHITEFOX as well. You've always taken a culture, people first approach. It's very important who comes in the door, because they're representing both you, the brand, and of course the success. Effectively, what's been the biggest thing for you in terms of creating a team?
Team's everything. I think when Graya first started, first 4 employees back then, which was a construction company to begin with, was the 4 people I worked with for my previous boss, got them over one by one. So that really helped steamroll. I heard Lana say you jumped 10 years because of social media, but I think getting those first 4 people on through Graya forward 3 years in one because of that team. And I learned a lot from that and put a lot of emphasis into our team today. And especially the leaders in Graya today, just absolute experts in their field, could do it on their own, to be honest. But we see we have mutual goals. We aligned our priorities, and we're very aligned in what we do. And team's everything. And it's evident in WHITEFOX. Spending a lot of time with a lot of the WHITEFOX people, the culture is amazing.
Was that something you like? How aware of that were you? I should say, when you started out, because of course you started at WHITEFOX, it's you, and you've got Lana, and you've got a couple of others, and you're sort of building that thing. When early on, what was the point you were like, it's going to be really important to do huddles. It was going to be really important to be socially connected. It was going to be important to make sure they knew Charlotte and your family. Like, what was it for you?
To be fair, starting the business, it was do or die. So it was about doing the business. The culture at the beginning versus the culture now is very different because you learn, the stress levels drop, you have more time, you have more patience, you mature. There's 2 people in the room sitting here now, our first ever front of house and one of the first agents sitting here. Both were probably only with the business for the first, 12 months. But things happen, and you evolve as a leader, you bring in systems and processes, and you have people that join the business that actually make you better. So, people like Lana actually helped me elevate because there were certain things that I was doing that would not allow me to scale. I was very quick to act early on because I had all that pressure, I had all that angst. I was 100 miles an hour. Non-stop. Had the same heart, but I had the wrong mind. I had the wrong speed. I was too quick. And, these guys would be testament to that. They've probably seen me, raise my voice on a number of occasions.
Not anymore.
But, I don't see the reason why I need to these days because I've matured and learnt and grown and developed and done self-help and gone on retreats and employed psychologists and done marriage counselling and done all the things that you need to do because I go to the gym for my biceps, but why am I getting help for my brain? That's the biggest muscle, the most important muscle. So, early on, would have I wanted to join WHITEFOX? I can't believe you did. But she saw that there was something there. And as you go, you need to get better. And it all
That's
comes...
also a testament to you. Everything you said you were going to do, you did and more. You're always there from the very start to even now. For all the sales directors in our company, you can pick up the phone at any time and you'll take the call if you can. If not, you'll return it straight away. So that's just the speed, again, going back to that. And that's the culture that you've created and that family environment and that connection.
I think being accessible is a really important trait when building culture, not ghosting. I can message Rory, who's the CFO, and quickly ask him a question. And it's not too hard for him to come back to me. People sometimes have questions at weird hours and you need to be able to be there for them. So I think culture builds over time. If you just want to say, we've got a great culture, it's bullshit. You actually have to earn culture. You have to establish it. You have to have the right people, but you've got to have rules of engagement. There's certain things that just don't fly. And it's almost like those things have to be a collective decision. You have to set them with your leadership team. What do we stand for and what don't we stand for? And even if someone's a multi-million-dollar rider, and if those things are broken, you have to walk that person out the door.
For you, because you're the only person on this panel here who's actually worked at another real estate company before WHITEFOX, and there's lots in this room who work for other companies. What were the things that you noticed, and this is not to knock Wilson or any other where you've worked?
Well, the ex-director's now our chairman, so...
Yeah, I know, but as in terms of...
if I need to.
In terms of these guys who are sitting here who are probably working for other companies, what should they be looking for? What should they be striving for? They may not be at that leadership level yet, but...
Well, for me, what I didn't like, particularly with where I was the hierarchy. Feeling like, you're not at this level because you're not writing X amount of business. that for me is a fundamental flaw within a lot of businesses, particularly when they're putting people up against each other in terms of their GCI, their fees, what they write, because ultimately everyone's on a different journey. You know, someone might only want to do $500,000 a year and have a great balanced life and do this and do that, but they bring something else to the table. They bring this like culture and this like caring nature, and they make the business better because of what they do within their small circle of influence. And then you've got people that have got big dreams and aspirations and want to do X amount. But that's their decision. But to put that on a scale and to have an award based on that one factor, for us, doesn't breed the right culture, because we value more than the commission. The commission comes, the fees come in, the growth's there, but it doesn't have to be putting those people next to each other on a scale. So I think that's a big thing. And for me, where I was, there's all this like having to prove, oh, you can't do this because you haven't done that. Well, it's like, well, why don't you just give me an equal playing field and let me have a crack? And just not being able to be myself. You know, I was wanting to do social media and big text boards and auctions without ties. And I remember there was a 40-degree day, and mid-auction I ripped my tie off and I like lassoed it and did full Marty Fox vibe and sold it for a fortune. And I got absolutely like, oh, it was so bad. I got an absolute grilling, and I was a 33% shareholder of this business. And I got a grilling for doing that because of what people might have thought of us. And that was the sort of straw that broke the camel's back for me, that I couldn't express a bit of fun and engagement and get people talking about the moment I knocked it down. It was, you know, energy. It was they wanted to dim my light to make theirs shine brighter. And I think that's something that you can never do. Don't ever dim your light to make someone else feel better. That's outrageous.
What about for you, Rob? How have you maintained, because it's different in, say, building and development to real estate, because agents are kind of businesses within themselves. You've got a team that's doing this whole thing. How do you keep the culture strong, the connection strong?
I think like Marty says, be available. Just, you know, there's 63 people you have to answer the phone call to, so you can't get it every single time. But, you know, try and gym sessions, go for walks, on lunches, Friday drinks, just ingrain as much as you can into your life. And the people that work for Graya are people that we like and the people that we actually want to spend time with. There's no dickhead policy, and if there is someone that sneaks their way in, they don't last long.
About 12 weeks it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can put up a front for about 10, and then you got to try and figure out how to get them out.
So let's talk a little bit about development. For you, what's been the approach in terms of finding a great development? What is the key to finding a great spot and then turning into something pretty special for you over the journey?
I've worked out over the years that site acquisition is probably more than half the battle. If you get a really good site, it helps a really good design. If you have a really good design, that helps the sale. And it just everything goes. If you've got more money coming in, then you can afford to pay more expensive subbies that can do a better job. And you don't have to go to the bottom of the barrel guys because you're trying to make it stack. So site acquisition is key. But every year there's new challenges, to be honest. Like right at the moment, construction by far is the hardest challenge. There's very little subcontractors. There's no labour. I don't know if that's Australia-wide or just here in Brisbane, but with the Olympics coming and all of the big institutional government projects, there's just no people. So you're constantly convincing smaller companies to do bigger jobs that they haven't done before, and you got to back them and push them up and reassure them you're going to pay them on time. And by far right now, construction is the hardest with development, but it changes every year.
And so, of course, part of your battle as well is you work with agents a lot, whether it's buying a site off an agent, but then also trying to sell the properties within. What's been the sort of your learnings of dealing with agents? What have you liked to see in the agents that you've worked with, and what have you not liked to see?
I think, as Lana said before, I think a personality fit match. We like to do things a certain way. We like to roll it out a certain way. We like to deliver a project a certain way. So having agents that complement how we want to do things, there's probably 90% agents that would never touch with a 10-foot pole. There's a very small group to choose from, and I love working with the people we work with. And there's been a lot of successes, but there has been a lot of stresses in the background as well. We had a $9 million contract fall over recently, which that causes stress. And although you've got an amazing product that is phenomenal, when that happens, you have backward steps, and you've just got to move through it.
Lana, how have you created relationships with developers? Because in Melbourne, obviously, you've worked a lot of the plan. You had the St. Moritz, and then since then now, First Melbourne and all these other groups. What is it for you as an agent? There'd be a lot in the room who might end up selling off the plan. What are your tips for working with a developer, working in this team, and then trying to sell something off a piece of paper?
Before you say that, Lana's a very rare breed of agent where she actually does both. And it's all dependent on the market. So when Lana...
50-50
you were 50-50. Now it's what, 90-10?
Yeah. With the Victorian market, it's skewed right down. I think the connection and just keeping the confidence, you've got everything on the line as a developer. There's a lot of trust that gets put into the agent. And for me, it's the 1%ers doing them very well. The speed, the appointments, the follow-up, all of those things have to line up. But the reality of it is, in projects, they're essentially buying a piece of paper. So they have to trust you. So I think trust is a big element behind that. The buyer needs to connect, feel comfortable, and also have the confidence behind the developer, the builder, the architect. They're going to deliver on that dream because it is a dream that they're buying. So I think that connection with the client, with the developers, has been really pivotal for us. And they love, for us in particular, the way that we market their homes. They have fun. It's an experience. Developers are commercial. It's no fluff. There's no emotion there. So it's just reading the plan, managing those relationships and building the rapport and getting the results, because at the end of the day, they do the talking.
And the developments are great because they normally have trade-ins. And you're banking up those future sales by guiding that person into the home that they bought off the plan.
Yeah.
And then what do developers have? They're the biggest networkers out. They're always lunching and having fun and meeting people.
That's a myth.
And they all have really nice homes as well. So it's a really good market to tap into, and it shows a different skill set. It turns you into a storyteller. So selling off the plan, I feel, is just one of those things, and I absolutely loved doing it because you can really, really become a storyteller, and the deal lasts sometimes. A house you can sell after an inspection, but an off-the-plan sale can sometimes take 2-3 months.
Well, the average in Victoria at the moment for a conversion for off-the-plan is almost 4 months. So the moment that you get the inquiry, that's the first step. Then you've got to convince them to actually meet with you. And then they're not seeing anything, and it's a display suite, or it's, fixtures and finishings. They've got to have confidence behind all the parties involved.
And they all want to customise.
They all want to customise, but I always think when you deliver the product, it really is, for me, my biggest mantra in life is reputation is everything. Once you lose it, you never get it back. And I think for you guys on the developer end, there's so much risk involved there. So it's so important to have the right team, not only from your business perspective, but also who you're selling with. You can't slip up as a sales agent. If you say, oh yeah, it does come with Gaggenau, and then they've got Miele, well, there's big problems there. So it's got to have that trust between both parties, from the agent to the developer, to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident that they know their shit. You need to know your product inside out, and has to be flawless execution the entire way.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to sell both, Lana, so you've done a very good job. Normally, an agent specialise in the open home style, or selling off the plan is very different. There's a lot of nurturing. You have to be very patient, and you have to stick to your word, and it's a journey. And then once they have signed a contract, there's only 10% on the table in most cases, sometimes less. Yeah. So you have to nurture them over sometimes a couple of years. And they can change their mind. So
and walk away and just lose the 10.
Exactly. So yeah, we're got a really good team at Motive looking after our projects at the moment, and they do a great job of that. It's a completely different style. We have used selling agents to sell off the plan before, and in our opinion, doesn't work. But you doing both, I think it's amazing, and I think I encourage more agents to be able to do both.
Diversity.
It's very different, but if you can do both.
Well, then resi becomes bricks and mortar, and that's the fun part. I always laugh now to my team, the ones that don't sell projects, how lucky you are to sell resi. You can smell the candles, you can hear the music, you can touch the walls, you can see it, touch it, feel it.
There's a story in front
There
of you,
is a
right?
story, but I think for anyone that is in sales in the room that does resi, try and get a little bit of experience in that project side, because it will elevate your skill set. And again, back to credibility. You learn things that you may just skim through the process when you're selling residential properties, but there's elements from a construction and build that you really get under your bonnet, and then in a listing presentation to even be able to say it. And I say to my clients all the time, look, I sell off the plan, just so you know as well. So when it comes to selling your home, this is fun. I know exactly what I'm doing. But if I can sell a piece of paper for $13 million, I've got this in the bag, then that's like credibility from a listing perspective.
And it also helps with your dialogue. So the dialogue that Lana's been able to pick up through working with developers and language, when you're speaking to somebody that's at an architectural extension on a home, a lot of it is sort of crossing over, and she speaks and uses words that the normal resi agents just lack. And that straight away elevates Lana in those meetings because they go, wow, she knows a lot. She's very intricate. She's very detailed. She's saying things that I've experienced throughout this whole build process. And she's got that because of these developers educating her.
Immersing yourself in the experience, though. If you are in the project sales, I go to every architect meeting with my clients. I don't need to be there. They've already bought it from me. But I want to learn something different. I want to connect with them. And it's just those little elements are only just building your skill set and making you more powerful.
And architects have great homes too.
They do. But they're not easy to deal with. We all know
and they don't lunch much.
No.
I think a good example of that is square metre rates. So, if you're used to selling apartments and you just understand what the current market value off the plan rates are, and you apply that into houses, it pays dividends. And right now in Brisbane, you have to explain to people what the replacement value is. So some of the prices out there, there's a bit of product in Brisbane, even though it's hot and it's firing, there is still some product that's sitting there for a little bit. The conversations is replacement because you cannot buy that land. You cannot get a approval, get a high-end architect, get a build done for what you can buy it for now. So it's like there's a lot of things out there that are absolute bargain, but people just don't understand that. So bringing in that off-the-plan skill set and understanding square metre rates, construction rates, and giving that to mums and dads or selling houses
gives us
super
confidence.
valuable.
Well, a big one has been when Lana's gone into a property and another agent has said a value, which is actually unachievable because they've applied a square metre rate. And what we learned was, but hold on, this is south-facing. That rate doesn't apply. On the north-facing side, maybe. So understanding that different orientations, different outlooks and so forth actually affect the square metre rate. Again, it's not lineal. Every single apartment within the project can't just be blanketed with the square metre rate. You have to individually price everything.
What about this is anecdotal, and I don't know if you've had anything like this, but of course you had the situation with the apartment in St. Moritz where you actually helped change the orientation of the kitchen because had they done it the way they did it, they wouldn't have had unimpeded views and they would have been looked in on.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, well, the architect didn't like me for that. Essentially, the kitchen was facing towards the water, which fundamentally for me was a bit of an error because if you sit at the bench, speaking to somebody in the kitchen, your back's facing the water. Then to the left of that kitchen was the next tower. So we said to the buyer, look, why don't you actually move the kitchen to that wall, have all the privacy from tower number 2 and sit facing the kitchen and be able to turn and look at the water this way. So, things like that actually changed the outcome. They settled 5 years ago.
Just sold again?
Just sold again about 3 months ago with Shaney Fox and Pete Service. And that was a case where they actually got their money back. And a little bit. Whereas most people that have sold, unfortunately, just with the way the Melbourne market is at the moment, people are having a few losses. So that fundamental change in the design meetings has actually put them into a position now where their lives have changed and they've been able to buy something great without having any losses.
Would they have done your head in?
You've got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Have you had any sort of situations where you've had to make some fundamental changes just based on either agent feedback or what the market's saying?
I think initially what gave us an edge to the competitors when we were first starting out was that we would be willing to change anything. Like, you tell me what you want, I'll customise it. Tell me, like, what don't you like about this, what don't you like about that, I'll change it. And as soon as you say that, it just starts breaking down walls. And we've ripped apart houses plenty of times. Like things that are, for stuff that's not as good. But we do have a line that if they're fundamentally going to make a bad decision, we will put our foot down and say, like, we want our product to resell. Our resell is more important to us than the initial sell, and you are doing yourself a disservice. We've had to say that a number of times.
But that's how your business has to evolve. So, like, for instance, our first 12 months with WHITEFOX, we would not take on any apartments because I wanted for that first year, for the average sale price back in 2017, to be 2 million plus. And we needed revenue. I had friends and family that wanted us to sell smaller assets, and we had to say no. For you to get that reputation of Graya, you had to customise everything. But then as you grow, you can still evolve, but still be true to what Graya stands for. Like with WHITEFOX now implementing WHITEFOX apartments and selling smaller stock and servicing those different markets. Like, you can change. Change is good. Change is actually scale. And don't be scared of, breaking your own rules that you've actually set yourself.
Well, advocacy was one of them. People still can't get their head around how a real estate company can have an advocacy arm.
Oh, it confuses people. And they're like, oh, how can you have an advocacy arm when you're selling? And it's like, well, at any given time, there might be 5,000 properties on the market and WHITEFOX might have 60. So
what a service to give our clients that are selling with us. And it happens so frequently. One recently with Marty, not this Marty, Marty Senior, who's born on the same day.
It's not my father, it's my uncle.
We had a client that sold through us, and then I put them in touch with Marty because I get the call all the time from clients. Can you find me this? Can you find me that? No, I actually can't, because my eyes are on the prize, and my prize are my clients. And if I've got my lights going everywhere, then I can't execute. So no, I'm not going to call you in 4 weeks' time unless there's an opportunity that is a no-brainer. I know you're looking, but I can't call everyone and say, hey, do you want this off market? I'm not interested. So having advocacy for us to be able to pass on that service and say, hey, these guys are amazing. Their budget is X. Just have a coffee, see how you feel, see how you connect. 9 times out of 10, they get the business because it is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Full
what
circle
does an
experience.
advocate want? And I see them in Melbourne. They rock up to auctions, try and slip a few business cards here, there, because, they haven't got data. We've got that much data. Just call it. Hey, how you going? It's Marty Fox Senior here. Oh, Marty Fox. He runs with that a lot. And they get there and like, this is not the guy that I thought I was meeting.
I'm with the Chinese advocate. He goes, I'm meeting Marty Fox today. And I was like, why?
Not the one you did.
I didn't know your uncle.
I know. Anyway, so it's so complimentary because as an agent, I never want to say I'm going to do something and not do it. That's like my thing. If I say something's happening, I will make sure it happens. I'll literally do everything that I can. So the last thing I want to do is say to a buyer, oh yeah, I'll keep you in touch. If I find something, I'll let you know. Never, ever going to happen. Whereas having an advocacy arm within the business, I can actually say that to someone, and the team can say that because all they want is to help that person find something with another agent and put those terms in place, get the pricing right, make sure they're not overpaying, and all those bits and pieces. There's been times when Lana's gone into the listing and taken the advocate and said, by the way, we're going to do a full service offering for
Once
you
I
today.
sell it, he's going to find you something.
And then they go, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So
We've had a number of those.
we've had heaps of those.
Oh. Yeah.
So, everyone feels that they can buy their own properties, but there is a very big chance that they might overpay or they'll have terms that actually work against them, putting them into a position where they're forced to sell. So advocacy is very important for us as a company.
And so for your tip, just for because obviously people listening on the podcast, but there are people in the room, there's a couple of advocates here as well. What would your advice to be to them in terms of creating relationships with, agents and agencies?
I think a lot of advocates put in a lot of time doing networking and not enough buying, and that can be quite frustrating. You need to be very, very focused on the clients that you have and let your purchasing do the talking. So don't try and film too much content without buying a lot. You need to be buying. Again, it goes back to doing the basics. Just be known as a weapon and get people great properties that appreciate well, that have got good terms, that allow them to seamlessly go into off the back of selling their existing property.
And depending where you are, learn how to bid at auction, because of course, if it's an auction market, you need to be good at that.
Yeah, look, auctions are hard because there's so much out of your control. I think it's actually more the opposite. It's how do you do things to the agent selling it pre-auction that actually wreck the auction?
Behind closed doors.
How do you throw the quote? How do you throw the terms? How do you put something in front of them that legally has to then be presented to that purchaser, and then it changes the whole game? So understanding the legals in advocacy and what you can and can't do within each jurisdiction across Australia, different states, different rules, is really important. So if anything, it's not about buying it at the auction, it's trying to destroy the auction.
Sabotage.
Sabotage that auction.
Is it on the market yet? Is it on the market?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's on the market.
Or the quote's just not right, so just make sure there's an offer with a deposit in writing, pre-auction, change the whole thing.
Now, as promised, we want to get some more voices up here and a very different mindset. This guy comes from a different background. He's got a different view of life, but he's absolute weapon when it comes to selling property and running a team as well. And, of course, is now leading the charge alongside another gentleman by the name of David Murray over in Perth. Can you put your hands together for Ryan Smith? So, like a few of you here, potentially, Ryan slipped into Marty's DMs mid last year.
All men, Charlotte.
All men. It's all men in the DMs. So just quickly to give people a background in the room, Ryan, how this all started, because we can't go into your entire history, but you thought, hey, I'll throw a Hail Mary. Give us the story.
Yeah, literally. So things happened in my personal life back then that sort of started conversations, and it was actually going down another path. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to look, let's put the fillers out there and have a conversation. And literally just slid into his DMs and asked the question and got rejected, and then somehow turned it around and got onto a FaceTime, and here I am.
Followed up. A no just means that you have to find another way to get a yes.
But he literally said, you said to Marty, would you bring WHITEFOX to Perth? And he said no. And 6 months later, you had an office open. So that's
Not even 6 months.
Not even 6 months.
Yeah, it happened very quickly.
Yeah, so Taylor was getting married. What were you doing? You were
Enjoying
on
Christmas.
Enjoying Christmas. We were in New Zealand. CFO was getting married, and it was hectic.
We were pestering you.
Pestering. Again, fortunes in the follow-up. Just was unrelenting, just bang, bang, punching through. You made it happen.
And you've been working, your background is you've been working in a traditional agency for how many years?
6.5. Yeah,
Yep.
6.5.
Advertising designed in like Clip Art 98.
Literally. Yeah, no, it's my background's a bit everything. I don't know where to start. I was a PT. I owned gyms. I had restaurants in Cambodia. I had a marketing agency. I studied counterterrorism, security intelligence at university.
Okay, this guy's one of the most interesting cats you'll
Yeah, I'm a weird. I was a balloon twister. I was a magician. I've done everything. So just a little bit not well, but
would make a great bodyguard. Unbelievable.
He was on a TV show called
1/16th
The Recruit. If anyone
Aboriginal.
watched it? An AFL show called The Recruit on Fox Footy.
But it's like everyone says, it's storytelling. So when I walk into someone's house with there's golf clubs there, if there's a football there, now I think
Scratch golfer.
yeah, golfer. If they've travelled, if they've done anything, I've honestly done everything. It's a little bit weird, but my life is as busy as I am now. I think we were chatting this last night at dinner. As busy as I am now, it's like relaxing because it was just too full on back in the day to the point I couldn't sleep.
I've always said you're a born high performer, and you're happy when you've got a lot on your plate, and that's probably why you're feeling like you're in that state of flow. I mean, you go back 6 months. Ryan had one person in his team working as an agent in a real estate company. The guy now has 16 staff, huge presence building, doing great social media, leading from the front, and recruiting really, really good eggs. And you are way calmer than when we met in January. But that's because you're geared that way. And I think you're inspiring me going, this guy's done it quicker than what I did. Like this is amazing how much respect you have from your peers. It's incredible to watch.
Thank you.
So how do you take a brand, so you've now got a yes from him, or I'm interested at the very least. How do you take that and now convert it into what we've created with WHITEFOX Perth? Because it's not as simple as, okay, I'll open the doors and we'll do it. You've got to take on a brand into a market that hasn't, of course, WHITEFOX was somewhat known, but not completely known over there.
Yeah, it wasn't known.
No, it wasn't known.
So they come and go, I love you, branding. Who did that for you? How'd you done it?
Yeah, literally. But it was just, I lent on you guys in terms of how to set it up. I knew, and I think I said this into one of the chats, you've got the brand. I know how to get you a team. Just give me your brand and I'll get you a team. So that's pretty much how it all
got
started.
us a team.
Yeah. So it was, but from setting up an office, I've never done that before. There was late nights at putting furniture together, and I am as useless as it gets, and I don't know how to use a hammer. So it's a lot of
You can do a balloon really well.
Can make a good snake.
The hammer's too easy.
But yeah, it was literally just literally do. Like it was, and I think that's this industry is so many people can talk, but it's actually just do it. Like get in there, find the property. I think you came over there. I organised a couple, go to see a couple of commercial properties. We rocked up at one and it was like, well, that's it. Cancel all appointments, done, found. So then it's on to the next thing. And terms, conditions, all of that. Then furniture and obviously having the skill set of Charlotte to be able to go, what carpets we're going to do. I wouldn't have a clue to doing that stuff. So it was more of everyone brought a little piece of the pie, which was great. And everyone just had that sort of mutual respect for each other to get the job done.
Okay, but you had to put a team together. So you're now recruiting agents. You're in a room full of a lot of them. What were the things you were looking for to put into a Perth team that's now become very successful? Because you can't just have all high performing. You can't have all, big $2 million, $3 million house riders. You've got a very good mix there. What was it for you?
What you said before, just good people. They're good people and work ethic. Work ethic is key, but just people with a good heart, people that are willing to learn. Like people that are sponges that they just sit there and you can see they're actually not just listening to you, but they're taking it in and trying to make themselves better and better and better. And that's what we just started to surround ourselves with. And a few key people that came over at the start, that just started the flow-on effect. Like we had obviously Adam Gizzo who worked with me previously, and then Georgia Robinson, and all these little key figures who actually had a very good personal brand in their market came in, and then it just snowballed. A few agents sat back just to go, okay, let's just watch and see. And then we got a few more starting next financial year, which is really exciting. So it was just getting the right people early and then making sure that everyone was seeing what we were doing, and then people just reaching out going, I want to be a part of that, because we're just having fun. Like it's not work when you're having fun.
What was the market? What was the reaction? Because of course Marty had to sell the brand originally when it was nothing, and trying to sell this new thing. You're selling the existing thing, but in a new market. What was the feedback you were getting from vendors, from suppliers? What were people saying? You know,
so in WA, we're like our own little country over there. I can't believe how no one comes over there. Like you're like, oh, first time I came over here. Then Lloyd, first time I came over here. Everyone's never been to Perth.
Has anyone been to Perth from here?
Hands up.
Got one WA person there.
Not a heap. That's like less than half the room.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a utopia. It
is
just clean. It's pristine. They got cash, like as in the state. Everything's beautiful.
Yeah, but no one generally knew. Real estate agents knew who WHITEFOX were, but the public didn't. So obviously you guys, when you started, it was like having to pitch. So we had to pitch and learn that pitch and then evolve. So we got guys starting now where now we just do dialogue training, and they'll just sit there and listen to how I pitch WHITEFOX. So it's very different, but it's so funny. I always share with the team is with the compatibility assessments and the things that we sent out, and then started getting really good conversions, and basically we're listing everything or walking in the door. And I always just ask, like, why? Like, I always love to know, why do you list with me? The amount of times I've had people going, you're just much more polished than everyone else. But it's funny because on the compatibility assessment, it's bold, polished, matter of fact. I've never been called polished in my life. So it was just funny, like how those little marketing and that tone of voice is actually coming across to the client, where they're actually coming back to me and going, yeah, you're just very well polished.
One of my most fearful moments is when he picked up the phone. He goes, now, Marty, all the agents have chipped in and we're going to do it. We want to just blanket Perth and we're going to go on bus backs. And I went, oh, no, we can't. It's like, this is what Ray White does. We can't be doing this. And somehow they twisted my arm, and I said that I would never do buses.
We never done printed.
And then what did you say to me? You need to go on bus stop. Yeah. Absolutely not. Worst
I did. That actually came out of my mouth. But how good have the buses been in an area to penetrate like far out? I can't believe it.
Well, I always find like there's different agents. You got like your local agents, you got your network agents, referral agents, all of that. But if WHITEFOX is very much, there's no borders. So you sell and you go where you want them to go. And people having a bus stop, you become part of the furniture with a bus stop. Like you just become...
You're going everywhere, literally.
Yeah, so with the buses, you're literally just going around the place. People are seeing you up the coast in the western suburbs. And obviously our western suburbs over there is quite nice. It's a bit different over here. But yeah, it was just something to really push it out there that all the agents... I've done them with my previous agency. Chelsea did it with her previous agency, and it has worked. We have got a lot of...
presence.
And now you're going in and going, oh, yeah, I see you everywhere on the back of the buses, and it's just a touch point.
What about, and also, I know this was a thing for some of the agents over in Perth, because we, personally at WHITEFOX, we pride ourselves on every touch point being that quality. So, for example, like our drop cards are, 300 GSM. It's about that look and feel. And some agents are like, oh, it's expensive. It's that bit more. But
Every agent.
Yeah.
Every time we've recruited someone, it's too expensive. And then they give it to their client, and the client's like, oh my God, I love this. And they're like, oh, how good's the brochure? And it's one of those things that we've even had with expanding to different regions is, implementing the certain sales meeting techniques, the huddles on a Thursday, the non-negotiables. Like if that person can't give 2 hours of their week to the brand, that's all we need. We just need that hour on a Monday and that hour on a Thursday to connect in a huddle that's not talking about real estate necessarily. It's talking about mindset and things outside that's driven by the sales directors. Those things is just what we need. But everything else is negotiable. All the little bits and pieces of how they want to prospect and how they want to go out there and so forth, that's up to them. But those 2 hours and the marketing side of things, the actual quality, we cannot drop that quality. And sometimes it's worked for agents and sometimes it hasn't. But the majority have finally come around.
It's such a mindset thing because like in a listing presentation, we all go there. Some agencies are cheaper than the others. Some drop their commute, whatever it is, where we've in Perth, we basically hold our comms at 2.2%. We're not really going below that. But our marketing is probably double to what I know we're a lot cheaper in REA. Like the most expensive REA in WA would be around, I think it's 1,900 going on $2,000. So it is quite cheaper over there. But we have this.
How much are we in Melbourne?
14,500. What's it in Brisbane? Anyone?
That's just that is no print. That's just to get your property online.
REA, domain, your board, your brochures, the whole shebang. It's full on. And then we're going up against in Victoria agents that are paying for people's marketing to get
And our comms are like 1 to 1.5. It's outrageous. Or maybe you know, but average 1.5. Accountant 165. Just over 1.5.
Looks at the CFO.
Yeah. I've been out of the game for 2 years, so I'm losing track.
Who's rusty?
I'm rusty as. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What were the non-negotiables for you? Like, you know, obviously, as you started to see success, your brand starts to get in people's face, and you've got the hoardings up, obviously. But were there some non-negotiables in terms of the touch points of your brand, from the way in which people greet and talk about the brand and the way it's seen?
Yeah, I think just naming our products, we really wanted to not just be a house that sells and someone lives in it, it's all good, and that's a house that has like a black paint or whatever. Like we gave every home a name. We really got inspiration from the multi-res market, where they would name the product. We would roll out our marketing much like you would a multi-res building. Although, you know, they have hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in budget. So we didn't have that budget when we first started. So, yeah, we were trying to do things as cheaply as possible. But I think, non-negotiables, name, sharing the journey. When you sell something, as you know, like the seller kind of has power for like, I don't know, maybe 20 days, then the buyer has all the power, right? So I guess having like a whisper campaign like throughout the whole of construction is really important. So you're collecting data and interested parties over 12 months or maybe sometimes a couple of years, collecting that list of people, and you're filling them in as you go, but documenting that. So you don't individually have to call them and feel like they've been sold to, but touch points on socials, things like that.
I know the market's a little bit different up here. And did you find that, was there any success that you had, obviously with social media, and you guys create great videos as well, but with influencers as well? Because you have products where you might have influencers who post about them.
It's hard not to be cheesy, to be honest. It's a very, very fine line, and I even feel like we crossed the line sometimes. And I go back, that didn't really hit the way I wanted it to. But essentially, we're trying to position the brand with like-minded brands. Like, I see WHITEFOX in the videos. Marty loves his Porsches, and that's no secret. But just having a little touch point and associating the Graya brand with other nice goods and brands just put you in that same playing field. So I think that's important. And the way we've always marketed is we've always marketed ourselves where we want to go, opposed to where we are. So we would always say, like, in 2 years is what we want to be doing. So we would then market that now.
I love that, Rob.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And it just helps you get there quicker. And we've been doing proper houses, let's say, probably 7 years. Before that, it doesn't really count because it was just shit. But yeah, it's what we've done in that 8-year period. There's no way you could do that, and we've done it a lot quicker than most.
It must give you some pride now that your name is synonymous with development and good quality. That's where you've kind of made it. It's like for us as WHITEFOX, like there's a tipping point where the brand becomes now known for that, not just you're in the market doing what you do. Do you remember that when that was? When do you think that was?
Yeah, it's a grind. It was something we always sought out to do, but I think initially we didn't have the capital behind us to be able to do a product that we were really, really happy about. In the last sort of 5 years, we've really crossed that line now, and the projects we have coming up are like another level. Like what we've previously done is nothing compared to some of the projects we have coming up, and it's super exciting.
Well, don't tell the buyers.
But for anyone who's coming to the Calile Hotel, I mean, if you have to walk 80 metres that way, and you've got one, what's coming up on James Street?
We've just started the demolition there project, but it's a bit under wraps. At the moment.
Mate, tell us. Marty's all like, now tell us.
If you're at the after party, I'll tell you everything.
Now, one really cool project we have coming up, which in our office is very exciting, is everyone knows who lives in Brisbane. Our most expensive Millionaires Row is in New Farm on the riverfront. So we've got a really boutique development we're about to lodge into council in about a month from now, but it's 4 individual apartments. It's like nothing that we produced in Brisbane before. I think the neighbour is the record unit sale in Brisbane right now, which is like 16.75, and the second record is maybe $3 or $4 the other way, but we're trying to hit over 20, and I'm very confident we'll get there.
20 per? Like what's
20 for the Pent, and then underneath that, they're a little bit cheaper, but still, I think the cheapest one will be hopefully 12. So it's a very unique product. We're super excited about it, and it'll probably be a Brisbane record for units unless Phil Rand gets that Emporium penthouse away, because I know he's fishing for, I think, 25 or something like that. So if he gets it, it'll be great for Brisbane. So I don't really mind.
How old are you, Rob?
I'm turned 35 next month.
It's incredible how you've done this at such a young age.
Similar age to you.
Work ethic.
Just quickly coming back to you, Ryan. The Perth market is quite different to, certainly in Melbourne, I think very much in Sydney. It'd be a bit different to Brisbane. How do you define the Perth market right now? What are you seeing, and what is giving your agents success in, because there's things flying off the shelf, but what's sort of giving the agents success?
So the Perth market we got the lowest stock ever in history. I think in 2018-19, we were sitting about 18,000 properties on the market. Now we're at 3.5, 4, including land and apartments. So I think we've got around 9,000 reps. So there's about 0.3 of a listing per rep. Is basically, to put it lightly. There still is transactions there. So there's still 800 transactions per week. So they're still there, but it's doing double the work for half the pay, basically, at the moment. Like, a lot of the public would go, oh, it's great being a real estate agent, you guys must be killing it. But it's like, yeah, it's great. You can get a product, but we all know that the game's listing. It's not selling. The selling just happens. It's listing those properties. And yeah, right now it is ruthless. Like, there's a lot of people dropping comms, a lot of people paying for marketing. So it's been able to sort of overcome those and then dropping a double cost for the marketing and actually being more expensive, and why.
You asked for it.
Yeah. Once again, going back to mindset, like, it's the marketing that we're doing now is basically double what I used to do, but it might have only been $1,000 more, $1,500 more. But when you actually buy into it and you go, no, stuff it, I'm going to stand out by being the most expensive. And that's sort of the mindset now I've taken into the last few months, and it's just trajected me. Like, it's gone to another height, and like we're talking about, my average sale price has tripled in 4 or 5 months. So it's just changed the game for me personally, and I'm now seeing that in the reps underneath us. There's a lot of them that start to question. Don't question it. You truly got to believe in it, because when you're actually speaking it to the people on the other side of the table, these
guys have helped transform this company, particularly Lana and Ryan, because of what they've been able to do in the field. Because it's actual results. It's proving something that we believed could occur. His reps have all had is it true? They've all had their highest sale prices in their careers?
Yeah.
In the space of what?
Well, one that hasn't.
Who's that?
I think.
Don't name them.
No, I want to know. No, because we've got to try. We've got to try and get them over the line.
We're naming
Who hasn't?
Well, I don't think Bianca has yet.
Oh, okay. So just Bianca. Okay. Well, that's
She's in a
pretty
different
amazing.
space,
It's a
though.
different space.
Yeah,
She's commercial.
Yeah.
But had he not been able to launch this and actually do it without Marty Fox there, I mean, this is a different side of the country. I mean, we've done it with New Zealand, which has been amazing, but to do it on home soil and see what Ryan's been able to do with the recruitment, and to give these guys belief that if they just pitch the marketing, they will hit heights that they haven't in the past. I love the fact that he's been able to do that within a short period of time, which has proven that marketing is so influential within an agent's career.
But I also think, just on that, I think what Ryan said there actually applies to every single person in this room. And I'll tell you why. Because you've come in and you've gone, okay, I have to tell people that the market is going to be more expensive, but I believe that that's going to be better and it's going to stand out. It's the same for, I know there's a couple of stylists in the room. Like, you might go in the room and they go, oh, it's a bit expensive. And you go, yeah, but I know I'm going to deliver on that. It's the same for me. It's like when I outside of what I do in jokes aside, as a celebrant, like, if I'm more expensive than another one, I still back myself to do the job better. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm sure the same for you when you're pitching for work. If you believe and you know that you're going to deliver on that price that you think that you're worth, it doesn't matter. People will walk away from that's okay. But if you're backing it up with results and give them the confidence that's a sale, there's no reason why not.
Explained what value is. Like, a lot of people just assume that people understand what value is. People know the cost of everything, but they don't understand the value of everything. You have to explain that eloquently, succinct, not waffle too much, to give them confidence that they have to overpay, but in the long run, they actually get more. That's the key, because all that really should matter is the net result. The net result in everything is truly what matters.
Well, it's like the advocate having to sell first, that you might have to outlay 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever it is. But guess what? When we buy at the other end and you save 100 or 80, there's the value. And that's the big one that the advocate.
The advocate has to sell value more than anyone.
Yeah. So if you can do that, well, and as you said, succinctly, articulately, you're a chance to
And
get
the
really
best
good
way
money.
to also pitch value, because people need to picture things, it's about talking about similar situations and examples and case studies. Like what Graya has to do, they go back to previous developments, Lana, previous clients.
Well, I had one recently. I got caught into a listing in a suburb that I could not tell you the local school, the local cafe. I don't know where this place even is. In Eaglemont. And a vendor advocate called me. He said, it is such a you property. You have to come and have a look
We've
at it.
had that for years, though. It's very white foxy.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that mean?
Correct. Well, we went over there and I said to him, if I'm going to drive an hour and 15 minutes, 3 times a week, plus private appointments, my fee is X. And he said, you are double what everybody else is. And I said to him, well, I back myself. I also don't take on everything. So there's scarcity. If you want to be part of it and you want the best, this is what I charge. And it has to be worth my while. Otherwise, you're going to get handballed to my EA or you're going to get handballed to my second agent. If you are going with me, I'm worth X because you're getting me. You're not going to get everybody else. You have a team, like a few people in the room that we've discussed over the last couple of nights. You get the full experience of the team. But when it comes to the kill, it's me. I'm listing it and I'm also selling it. I'm involved in all the negotiation.
A really friendly
value.
kill.
Yeah, correct.
And you did sell.
And broke a suburb record for over 6.
And you don't, and you still probably don't know the local school.
I actually do not know the local school, but I know the house inside out, and that's what's important.
It's Eaglemont Primary for anyone playing at home. I don't know that. Just before we finish, for you, have you had to do that as well in terms of selling?
Difference?
Yeah, point of difference.
I think our point of difference going back sort of 5 years ago when we're trying to break through was anyone could get a really expensive architect and a really expensive builder and build a nice product or develop a nice product. But what we were doing back then was we could get a cheap design from a building designer. We would then have the smarts to be able to choose all the cool finishes that were affordable, and we'd be able to deliver all of the little details of how the architraves sit, how the windows sit, all the junctions and whatnot, just to get that architectural look. And that initially gave Graya an edge, and that's where our margins came from. And we reinvested that money back into the brand, bought better sites, and our point of difference now is our quality and our speed. So because we offer, we're controlling the whole process from very start to the very end. It's the quality and the speed. So that's the key difference. And people, even though we don't sell investor stock, like predominantly we're selling to an owner occupier because it's luxury. But all of our buyers have seen an amazing uplift when they've sold. So that's our difference now.
Do you ever have to take buyers through previous builds just to show?
All the time, yeah. And to be honest, I don't love it. I just go look online. But yeah, no, we do, because seeing it in person does speak a lot, and your previous stock is your business card, right? So making sure that not only is the quality of the project good, but your buyer's happy. They're happy that you've serviced them post handover, and we don't do it perfect every time, but we try our absolute best. But yeah, having that person singing your praises, product looking good, 5 years later, not just 1 year later, landscaping popping, like we like our product to look better 3 years later, not worse. Most people finish product goes downhill because they stuff up the furniture or the landscaping starts dying. We like to make it in 3 years. It should look better than when you've handed it over.
It's awesome having you up here, by the way. We could talk for a lot longer on that. We've got to give the people here a little break, some lunch and toilet. Before we go, Ryan Smith, it's also great to have you here. You came into this business and said, I'm pretty sure it was, we will be the highest performing White Fox office in how long?
I think the first year. I talk a lot of shit. It's
You have to throw it out there.
Yeah, you do.
You have to put it out there.
You got to put it out there. But
he's pulling it off.
I was going to touch on that, like just quickly, as an inspirational thing. Like you believe that. I think you believe that, and with good reason too. You backed yourself and you went, I'm going to put together a great team. I believe in what the Perth market is doing. You're a psychopath.
In the best possible way.
Self-proclaimed. So you're looking. That's your goal, isn't it? Though, like that is, you've come in and gone, I want to be the best performing office, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you guys sent over the looking at the spreadsheets, and I'm looking at the sales numbers, I'm like, is that your first month? Like, what's going on here? Like, in terms of the progression of what it could be, I'm like, nah, mate, just hold on, hold your beer.
We set the bar low for Perth. We thought, oh yeah, we'll do this, and then he just laughed and said, oh, "Watch, boys, you just sit back."
Everyone always underestimates WA. Don't they? They underestimate it.
But we weren't valuing the numbers. We were valuing the person.
Yeah.
So the spreadsheets came after, fucking way down the track. We believed in Ryan, and that
Proof's in the pudding.
proof's in the pudding for sure.
Thanks for having me.
So thank you to Ryan Smith, thank you to Lana Samuels, thank you to Marty Fox, thank you to everyone who's in the room. We're not done yet. You're done if you're listening, by the way. This is over. But we're going to give you guys a break, have something to eat, go check your emails, and we'll see you back here. Hopefully you got some questions, because we're going to have these guys up here and potentially any of the other minds that are in the room as well. And I tell you, there are some considerable people in this room that you're going to want to ask questions of. And that's been another With the Fox podcast. Of course, don't forget, you can listen to it on any podcasting platform, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. And we'll see you back here soon. Thank you very much.
That too.
That's a great. Fucking made me laugh.
It's to the start.